Jamaica. Make we do the right thing. Make we live good today for a better tomorrow. Talk it out. Don't fight it out. The time by the Ministry of National Security is
6:30.
Kamala Harris has raised more money in the 24 hours since Joe Biden stepped away from the U.S. presidential race and gave her his blessings than any other candidate in U.S. history, man or woman. That says something about the appeal of this daughter of Jamaican and Indian immigrants and what it might mean if she goes forward to challenge Donald Trump for the right to become U.S. president on the first Tuesday in November. This evening on Lead Story, we're talking to two ladies of intellect and of experience about Kamala Harris, a lady of intellect and experience who's about to make history as the first woman, black or Asian, to have a tilt as the candidate for a major political party in the United States where the presidential race is concerned. That's the story on Lead Story. Let's start the show. Welcome to Lead Story here on CVM TV. My name is George Davis. So, in case you didn't hear, Sunday afternoon, the bomb dropped. Joe Biden stepping away from his bid for re-election to the White House for a new term, citing, well, didn't even cite anything. He just said he was stepping away, opening the door for Kamala Harris, his vice president, to step through and step into the limelight as the candidate for the Democratic Party ahead of November's presidential election. There is some way to go before that is confirmed, but based on the endorsements that have been flowing in for Kamala Harris, it appears all over by the shouting in terms of the race to be the name on that Democratic ballot in the presidential candidate section going forward to battle Trump and J.D. Vance on the first Tuesday in November. A lot has happened over the past 24 hours. A lot of talk has gone into speculating as to what were the specific reasons for Joe Biden letting go at this hour, and even about Kamala Harris's credentials at this time. Some people saying she lacks experience. Some people saying that's not an issue anymore because she's now well seasoned as a politician, and now is a time for a woman to make that final step, to cross that Rubicon and to do what no woman has done in U.S. politics before, and that's hold the top job, not just in the country, but the most powerful job in all of world politics, President of the United States. Kamala Harris spoke to supporters. Well, she did deliver some remarks today at a White House event celebrating the National Collegiate Athletic Association NCAA championship teams from the 23-24 season. It was her first remarks since she found herself in this position of being the presumptive nominee for the Democrats for the November presidential race. This is what she had to say.
Our president, Joe Biden, wanted to be here today. He is feeling much better and recovering fast, and he looks forward to getting back on the road. And I wanted to say a few words about our president. Joe Biden's legacy of accomplishment over the past 3 years is unmatched in modern history. In one term, he has already, yes, you may clap. In one term, he has already surpassed the legacy of most presidents who have served 2 terms in office. And I first came to know President Biden through his son, Beau. We worked together as attorneys general in our states, and back then, Beau would often tell me stories about his dad. He would talk about the kind of father and the kind of man that Joe Biden is. The qualities that Beau revered in his father are the same qualities that I have seen every day in our president. His honesty, his integrity, his commitment to his faith and his family, his big heart, and his love, deep love of our country. And I am firsthand witness that every day our President Joe Biden fights for the American people, and we are deeply, deeply grateful for his service to our nation.
Speaking at the White House, she strategically didn't make her speech too partisan, but what she did do was pay effusive praise to the man who has stepped aside and allowed her to make this move as the presumptive Democratic nominee. But later, at a campaign event in Delaware, speaking to her staff in Wilmington, to be precise, she did twist the knife into her presumptive rival, Donald Trump, by saying that, look, Donald Trump doesn't scare me. These were the actual words she used.
So in the days and weeks ahead, I, together with you, will do everything in my power to unite our Democratic Party, to unite our nation, and to win this election. You know, as many of you know, before I was elected as vice president, before I was elected as United States Senator, I was the elected Attorney General, as I've mentioned, of California, and before that I was a courtroom prosecutor. In those roles, I took on perpetrators of all kinds. Predators who abused women, fraudsters who ripped off consumers, cheaters who broke the rules for their own gain. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type.
Yeah, she's showing that she has a lot of gumption about her, Kamala Harris, showing that she's not afraid of Donald Trump. She's seen his kind before, and she has dealt with them decisively in her days as a top-class prosecutor. Well, for some perspective on Kamala Harris's newfound status, I'm speaking to Dr. Barbara Sharif. She's a former mayor of Broward County, Florida, the county's first African-American female and Muslim mayor. And Dr. Shauna Chin, she's vice chair of the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council. Good evening, ladies. Welcome to Lead Story.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thanks for having us.
Excellent. Let's get the Joe Biden question out the way, ladies, so we can spend the time talking about Kamala Harris. Dr. Sharif, the case has been made, since Joe Biden is not well enough to continue in this push for a fresh term in the White House, why should Americans accept him for the rest of his time as president? If he's not well enough to run a presidential campaign, how come is he well enough to run the country?
So first of all, Joe Biden didn't pass the torch because he wasn't well enough to continue. There was a mounting pressure following the debate with Donald Trump from members outside of the party as well as members inside the party. They were playing to the narrative and the divisiveness that the Republican Party tried to sow into this election. Let me be clear, as an elected Biden delegate, we were fully prepared to support President Biden on day one of the Democratic convention to be president again of this United States. But Biden knew that there was this pressure there, and it was taking the focus off of the real issues, which was what damages a Trump presidency would have on this American economy. And it was placing it too much on his age, and it just became a distraction. And so him being the person that he is and loving this country the way that he did, he said, I'm not going to accept this nomination. I'm going to allow Vice President Harris to step up and take the reins of this country to continue the forward movement and progress that we've made since the damaging presidency of Donald Trump. And so it has less to do with his age or his health and more to do with, can this party win this election in November?
But Dr. Chin, if we are to follow the narrative coming out of the United States, it is the twin issues of his age and attendant health that have poisoned the water in the well of his bid for re-election. And those things, one would suggest, have combined to cause people to lose confidence in him, key donors, perhaps even key staff. And so on those counts, Joe Biden has decided that, you know what, it's best for me to step aside and let someone else who doesn't have that hanging over them to see if they can retain this crown for the Democratic Party.
And that is a sign of a true leader. Jamaica is no stranger to persons who are adept at leading a country. And then, when age and things that come about with aging, and people start losing confidence in the ability to run and want to new, fresh faces. And we have experienced that in Jamaica as well. And our leaders have called to action and put persons in place who they think can lead the charge and move forward. And I think that is what President Biden has done, and it shows true leadership.
Yeah. Dr. Sharif, is Kamala Harris ready?
Oh, absolutely. Not only is Kamala Harris ready, but I think the Black women of this United States are ready. Last night, it was such an energizing phone call I was on with Win with Black Women, where they advertised a Zoom call to just talk about getting together and supporting her. And we broke Zoom last night. Over 40,000 Black women were on that call, excited about the possibility of having the first Black female president of the United States. And I've got to tell you that the excitement and enthusiasm is growing. And I believe that based on the polling that we see right now, that Kamala Harris has a great chance. Vice President Kamala Harris has a great chance of being the next president of this United States.
Dr. Chin, she's raised what, 81 million US dollars and counting in the last 24 hours. They say it's a record for a one-day haul by any candidate in US presidential history. Is this just new person or new candidate buzz, new person buzz, or are we likely to see the enthusiasm around Kamala Harris sustain over the course of a long campaign, even though we're talking about weeks, months?
Oh, she's in it for the long run. As Dr. Sharif said, there were precisely 44,000 people who joined the Zoom last night. Everybody's energized around her. And again, it's important to recount that Vice President Kamala Harris isn't a newcomer to the political stage. She was district attorney here in San Francisco. In California, she was the first female district attorney. She was the first female attorney general. So she has broken quite a number of ceilings for herself in her career. So she's not a newcomer to this. Also, she has been adept at her vice presidential reign. She's the head of gun control at the White House. She's head of immigration reform, women's health. She's active in attempting to bridge the gap between African leaders. She's also been involved with Jamaica. She's no stranger to Jamaica. So I believe it's not about a candidate who's a newcomer. It's a candidate who's been seasoned, who's been training for this. Absolutely, she's ready.
Dr. Sharif, some say in her vice presidency, if you check the stats, check the record, if you look at the box scores, as they'd say in the NBA or the WNBA, it's not been that impressive because, one, she was in charge of immigration. That didn't go so well. She was given that task by the President Joe Biden. Abortion rights, she didn't handle that with any distinction to the extent that he had to reassume control of that specific portfolio from her. So they say, well, what is she about? Where has she excelled in this role as vice president? What would you say to those people who hold that view?
I would say that they're completely wrong. Look, we're in a country where there are several bodies of government. We have a Congress, we have a United States Senate that truly has tied the hands of this president and Vice President Harris at really getting to the bottom of women's health and reproductive rights issues. Additionally, we got a Supreme Court with lots of conservative justices on there that are continuing to destroy any ability that the president and vice president has at making sure that they solidify reproductive rights for women. So it's not a failure of Vice President Harris to not have been able to move that. In terms of immigration, look, you have governors of states that are Republican, and they are setting up these traps to continue to stop the progress on immigration reform. You have bad Trump policies that are in place that are stopping us from allowing people to gain citizenship legally. And, it takes time to reverse all of that. You don't get into the White House. That's why you get 2 terms. That's why there's an opportunity to have 2 terms. Some of these problems that Donald Trump has produced from his presidency are going to take us 8 and 12 years to repair. And so she got to work very early on. And let me tell you, in terms of what they've been dealing with aside from that, they've been dealing with foreign policy, wars, Ukraine, Israel, the Gaza Strip issue. They've been going back and forth, Al-Qaeda, counterterrorism issues. She's done 19, foreign policy trips, and she's done what she has to do as a vice president. And now she has been seasoned and she is ready. I think she is ready to lead this country. I think that with Vice President Harris on the ticket, we're going to gain some seats in the United States Senate. We're going to gain some seats in Congress, and we're going to allow her to continue the progressive movement that President Biden has started.
Hear you on that. Hold the line there, ladies. Stay where you are. Taking a break here on Lee's Story, talking about the Kamala Harris supremacy. She is in line to create fresh history. Can you imagine a woman with so much black heritage as president of the United States? Dream and dream again. Break time. Back with more after these.
The time by Grace. Taste that moves you is
6:45.
You know what's sweet? The new pack Sweet Living promotion. Win great prizes.
Bedroom set, living room set, or kitchen appliance set, plus TVs and monthly cash prizes.
Send in 5 new pack labels or a receipt. Labels must belong to at least the new pack canned beans, coconut milk powder, and new pack oil categories. Fill out the tagline. New pack, more than just value. Place your entry in one of the drop boxes at participating outlets. Enter by mail or online at newpackjamaica.com. Time for live sweet. Enter the new pack Sweet Living promotion, June 16 to August 31. See the press for more details. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act.
Your feet deserve to be pampered. For over 50 years, Sammy's Shoe Store has flown the flag as Jamaica's #1 shoe retailer, bringing style and comfort to your entire family. Run, don't walk, to Boulevard Supercenter, 66 King Street, downtown Kingston, 10 Cumberland Road, Spanish Town, Sovereign Village, Portmore, or Premier Plaza Halfway Tree to get yours. Snacks, school bags, socks, and belts at unbeatable prices. Sammy's Shoe Store, where comfort meets style meets quality.
Welcome back. We're talking about the U.S. presidential race. We are a few months out, but already the most exciting announcement of this presidential campaign, without a doubt, Joe Biden stepping aside and a woman, Kamala Harris, the daughter of Jamaican and Indian migrants, now set to assume the Democratic nomination and go forward to battle it out with Donald Trump in November for the right to sit as U.S. president. An important update just coming in from the Democratic National Committee, the DNC. The DNC chairman, Jamie Harrison, has said that the Democratic Party will deliver a presidential nominee by August 7 and is committed to an open and fair nominating process. Now, you may ask, why is this important, George? Well, this means, the announcement of August 7 means that the nominee will be chosen before the Democratic National Committee meeting on August 19. It starts on August 19, so 12 days before they're saying they'll have a nominee named. Earlier on this Monday, Harris quickly solidified her support for her, consolidated support for her presidential bid and secured commitments from hundreds of convention delegates. So big development. The DNC says, look, by August 7, we will be able to say who our nominee is, not waiting until we start on August 19. By the start of August 19, it should be a grand coronation for whomever we would have named 12 days prior. I go back to Dr. Barbara Sharif, former mayor of Broward County in Florida, the county's first African-American female and Muslim mayor, and Dr. Shauna Chin, vice chair of the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council. Dr. Chin, this move by the DNC to name their nominee 12 days out before the start of the Democratic National Convention. What do you make of it?
Well, I think it shows that they're prepared. And matter of fact, I think that's the last place I saw you, Dr. Sharif, was at the last DNC convention. It just shows that they're prepared. and they're ready for a good fight against the Republican. I'm very energized because when I see things coming out of the DNC so quickly, it shows that they are motivated, it shows that they're prepared, and it sends a strong signal to the voters that yes, you can count on the nominee, you can count on the Democratic Party to deliver a win.
Dr. Sharif, even among people who are traveling in one accord, who are of the same mind, who have shared values, there is dissent. And I guess at the heart of it, that's what democracy is. Is this a move by the DNC to stifle any possibility that a contest could develop? And so at the undercurrent of this rush for this, to fill this empty chair, they're saying, well, no. Let's get this job done early. Let's get this decision made early. Kamala is who we're working with so that nobody harbors any idea of building a coalition to go into a contest against her. Is that a way to interpret this decision?
So basically what we decided as a party, and we were all up all last night and all day on Sunday, trying to gather a sense of where our delegates were standing. I am a delegate for Biden-Harris, and we were asked in a very open discussion if we would support Vice President Harris's nomination for president. And overwhelmingly, the answer was yes. And last night we started to sign pledges. And as of today, all 236 delegates for Florida have been pledged for Vice President Harris. And we are serious about getting down to the work of winning this election. And the rapid pace of it has more to do with let's get out and take this fight to Donald Trump and the Republicans and stop them from trying to take this election through divisiveness and voter disenfranchisement. And that is really at the root of our message.
Dr. Chin, for those who say abortion rights is the most important issue in America right now, they're probably relieved that Harris is leading the ticket because Joe Biden was rather conservative. He didn't even want to utter the word abortion while out on doing his work as president. So someone who has taken on the issue front and center, we did debate whether she was successful or not. Dr. Sharif gave a very good rebuttal to those who say she has not been successful on abortion. But this is a woman willing to face the issue front on and to say the word, because the word is not a bad word. The endorsement by the biggest pro-abortion group in the United States for Kamala Harris at this time, what do you think that does for her candidacy?
Well, I think not only does she have that strong endorsement from pro-abortion right, anti-abortion rights and pro-abortion rights, I believe that she also has the endorsement from all the strong candidates who would be great presidential nominee picks. You know, they have come out in strong endorsement of her, and I think that is what is key for her candidacy. As far as for abortion rights, I believe one of the fear from the Democratic committee is that, you know, with the Project 25, that is from the Heritage Foundation that Donald Trump supports, as well as Agenda 47, one of those things that they intend on doing by 2025 is eliminating abortion rights, is Affordable Care Act that will no longer, persons who are wanting to seek care for abortion or, you know, prevention of accidents, they are no longer covered under the Affordable Care Act. So those are things that we're fighting against, and that is really what strengthens her candidacy.
In a head-to-head debate between the pair that we're anticipating, Dr. Sharif, I want you to speak to me about how do you think, if at all, Donald Trump will be constrained to seek to attack, to seek to insult, to seek to belittle, to seek to even mispronounce her first name to make her seem like something foreign. What strategy do you think he will have to fashion to make sense, to make inroads going up against a woman who's younger than him and a woman who is of a mental sharpness that Joe Biden didn't pose in their opening debate?
You know, I think Donald Trump makes fun of everybody, but I think that Vice President Harris has dealt with people like him her entire career. I think that the main thing that's going to happen here is when he starts his attacks, she's well prepared to respond to him. I think that based on the record of this president and vice president, and based on the facts it's easily provable that what Donald Trump has been saying is not true. I think that he's going to have a fight on his hands. I think that he always underestimates women, and he better not underestimate this one because she is prepared for him.
Yeah. And Dr. Chin, running mate is very important because it's a ticket, as both of you, yourself and Dr. Sharif know so very well. It's a duo, and people are looking for A and B. Of all the people who have been talked up by the media as being the ideal sort of foil for Kamala Harris, a support for Kamala Harris going forward, is there anybody in your estimation who stands out as the obvious pick for a vice presidential nominee going forward?
Yes, I think that the governor out of PA, Josh Shapiro, I think he looks very strong. Of course, Governor Westmore out of Maryland is Jamaican. So, of course, I'm going to want to put his name in the ring there. Unfortunately, because of rules with the Electoral College, our governor in California, Newsom, he's unfortunately not going to be able to,
Right.
join her ticket because we can't have two Californians on the ticket, right? So I think, at this time, Governor Shapiro is who I think looks like a likely pick.
Dr. Sharif, what say you?
I'd say the same because my first pick was Newsom, and then I found out we couldn't do that. And I think Shapiro looks good. But, you just never know. I think it's a great fit for our ticket. We need a strong governor. We need somebody with statewide experience and somebody that's well known in the party that can hit the ground running and be a good support for Vice President Harris. And I do believe, as Ms. Shauna Chin said, that's a great choice.
Yeah. Lastly, Dr. Chin, tell me how does it feel as a woman of strong Jamaican links? I mean, we can call both of you Jamaican, so let's not be coy about it. How does it feel to be sitting here and seeing someone, one of your own, so close to a position where she can fight for history in her own right? Tell me about that.
I'm absolutely very proud. But I also want to emphasize to the public that it is not just her being a first female Black woman. It is also that she has very strong policies. She has a very strong career, a strong political career behind her. So this is a woman of substance, and that is what we should really be proud of. Absolutely, as a Black woman, as a Jamaican heritage, right? I'm bigging up and rooting for her. But I think at the bigger issue, I try to focus on her policies